What's up, family? So get this video a big thumbs up. I just want to have a conversation. Let me know you guys' thoughts down in the comments as we check out Donald Trump's recent, or I should say, new, fresh sit down with MSNBC or NBC News. So, however, he sat down with Christine Walker, and not only to let off his thoughts in the direction him and his administration will be going in, but also amplify the tone and attitude in regards to how ambitiously he will be executing for the best interests of the American people. So first, he spoke on acting quickly in regards to pardoning individuals on a case-by-case situation or a case-by-case circumstance, because every circumstance is different. Some people weren't even there on January 6th. Other people were protesting peacefully. But obviously, if individuals who are assaulting the police or damaging property should most likely be in jail, right? No brainer there. So to make matters worse, the Supreme Court was holding accountable the Department of Justice on how they were abusing their power viciously in regards to their actions, punishing these individuals, all of these individuals who were arrested January 6th. So this action on Trump won't just be a pardon, but it will overall show the corruption within the Department of Justice the way I see it. Check this out.
I'm going to look at everything. We're going to look at individual cases, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to be acting very quickly.
Within your first 100 days, first day?
First day.
First day.
Yeah, I'm looking first day.
Issue these pardons.
These people have been there, how long is it? 3 or 4 years?
Okay.
You know, by the way, they've been in there for years, and they're in a filthy, disgusting place that shouldn't even be allowed to be open. I'm going to look at.
All right. So next, we move on. Trump goes into how pleased, or how not pleased, I should say, he is not pleased with the current FBI director. I do want to add context, but first, check out the video.
Are you going to fire the current FBI director, Christopher Wray, who you appointed?
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him. He invaded my home. I'm suing the country over it. He invaded Mar-a-Lago. I'm very unhappy with the things he's done. And crime is at an all-time high. Migrants are pouring into the country that are from prisons and from mental institutions, as we've discussed. I can't say I'm thrilled. I don't want to be Joe Biden and give you an answer and then do the exact opposite.
We're going to talk about
So I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is I certainly cannot be happy with him. You take a look at what's happened. And then when I was shot in the ear, he said, "Oh, maybe it was shrapnel." Where's the shrapnel coming from? Is it coming from heaven? I don't think so. So we need somebody to straighten. You know, I have a lot of respect for the FBI, but the FBI's respect has gone way down over the last number of years.
Don't you have?
Well, family, Crystal Wray, the current FBI director, who initiated the invade in Trump's home with the raid, and Trump explained how he's not really happy with the job he has done, as the FBI has been utilized to be a weapon, to be weaponized against a political opponent, in this case, Donald Trump. But most importantly, he emphasizes what he emphasized was the truth with the FBI in regards of the trust in the FBI, because the American people don't even have faith that the FBI is doing a great job. And I do believe that Crystal Wray will be replaced with Kash Patel. Check this out.
Have to fire him in order to make room for Kash Patel, if he is in fact confirmed?
Well, I mean, it would sort of seem pretty obvious that if Kash gets in, he's going to be taking somebody's place, right? And somebody is the man that you're talking about.
Are you?
Well, there you have it. But the point, just to keep speaking about it and just to add a little bit more context in my thoughts, and I want to know you guys' thoughts down in the comment section. Well, if you guys really take a look at it with this whole current FBI director, right? And the reason why I say that he weaponized the FBI is because if you look at it, Crystal Wray, the FBI, went to the furthest extent to really hone in on targeting and going after Trump. And if you think about it, the FBI, think about the Russia hoax, where Adam Schiff kept speaking about Trump having ties for financial gain with Russia, right? Not prosecuting Hillary Clinton, holding on to Hunter Biden laptop, really suppressing the Epstein files, right? So picking and choosing information to give instead of prosecuting on the basis of no one's above the law and upholding the law and protecting American citizens. So if you guys don't believe that the American people do not trust in the FBI, well, check out this article that Fox News had. And it says, look at where we are today. And this article was December 4th, 2024, right? This was the recent statistics, so to say. But if you look at where we are today, where was that? Okay, so look, it says, go down, what up? Where is it at? Okay, let me go right here. So it said, look at where we are today. My goodness gracious, just 41% of Americans think the FBI is doing an excellent or great job. This is by far the lowest number this century, and it's also the lowest number in history, right? So the FBI just has been biased in regards to who they refer to retaliate against or punish. However, I want to move on to another topic, which I feel like Trump hit a lot of important topics, but I want to move on to another topic in regards to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Federal Drug Administration, vaccines, and autism. And I am a father of a 4-year-old autistic son, my 4-year-old autistic son or a 4-year-old autistic child. And basically how these pharmaceutical companies do not necessarily advocate or promote healthy lifestyle, but put a Band-Aid on health issues of the American people to capitalize at the cost of the American people, even if it's hurting the American people, from adults to children with the widespread of ADHD, autism, and a variety of disabilities or delays amongst the American people, giving us trash food engulfed in metals that leave bad microbiome, or I should say from a C student perspective, bad bacteria in the gut, as we all know, or I come to learn from a neurodiversity standpoint, that the gut is the second brain. So if you are what you eat, and if you don't feel good, you don't look good. And if your gut don't feel good, for example, how will my child be able to focus in class if his gut isn't, if he isn't feeling really well? And it comes down to what you eat and your nutrition. And they spray our foods with pesticides and so many unhealthy preservatives, like even heavy metals, for example, in baby food, or which takes the true nutrients out of the food and the food that's being provided. And if you want to go a step further, even metals in Gerber baby food, which was tested not too long ago, but it was constantly being debunked that there was nothing wrong with baby food, Gerber baby food. But anyway, let's go.
Let me ask you about RFK Jr. He has obviously talked about his skepticism of vaccines. He's expressed opposition to childhood vaccines. Do you want to see childhood vaccines eliminated?
If they're dangerous for the children. Look,
So possibly?
when you look at some of the problems, when you look at what's going on with disease and sickness in our country, something's wrong.
Are you talking about autism?
Well, if you take a look at autism, go back 25 years, autism was almost non-existent. It was, 1 out of 100,000, and now it's close to 1 out of 100.
Well,
I mean, what's happening? If they can find it. Now, I did something the other night that was a little unusual. At Mar-a-Lago, I called the drug companies, the top drug companies, and I called RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz and some of his people. And I said, let's all get together and let's figure out where we're going, because we're going to do a lot of things. Number one, we're going to reduce prices, because the middleman makes more money than the drug companies, in all fairness to the drug companies. There's a middleman that nobody even knows who they are. And you look at our drug prices, they're much higher than the prices for the same medicine, for the same stuff. So we met, and we met for a long time, and we talked about pricing, and we talked about vaccines, in terms of what happens. We talked about pesticides. We talked about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of good things are going to come from him. And he's not going to upset any system. He's not going to upset this. He's not looking to, to reinvent the wheel totally. But when you look at the numbers, we really don't have a very healthy country.
Well, sir, going back 25 years,
I agree.
studies show that there is no link between vaccines and autism. And yet it sounds like you are open to the possibility of him looking
I'm
at
open to
getting rid of
anything.
them.
I think somebody has to find out. If you go back 25 years ago, you had very little autism. Now you have it
And I feel like, and me being a, a father to my autistic son who's nonverbal, just to add a little bit more information about me, they tend to go back to studies or in clinical studies years ago. This is not 25 years ago. And my thing is, people just want transparency. The American people want transparency. They want you to be upfront. And so basically, they don't want the American people to know that the vaccines are linked to autism because at the end of the day, capital is more important than actually the health of the American people. But how can we not speculate when there has been an uptick of autism and you're still going back 25 years ago when vaccines wouldn't be into question? Just for example, not even just not even just vaccines, but even, for example, baby formula, baby food. So my thing is, if it took, for example, going with my example with baby food and formula, it took not too long ago for baby food and formula to be tested currently and recently. You can look it up, that there were heavy metals that were in baby formula and baby food, Gerber baby food specifically. Okay. And what happens is when you have heavy metals on your brain and you have scarred matter, and this is just from me learning this and coming and just being authentic with you guys and what I've discovered, and being transparent, that causes delays when the residue of heavy metals is in your body because it's not supposed to be there. So it caused developmental delays within the child or delays within an adult, even over time, because you continue to eat these foods that have pesticides and metals in it. What happens is you have to detoxify the body. And most of the time you have to juice, for example, get actual fruits from earth because the body is special. And its beautiful thing is because the body is so beautiful and so amazing that it can self-heal on its own. We just have to fill it up with the right nutrients. But if the nutrients that we are receiving is trash, then how is it going to rejuvenate? Because we can flush out the metals if we continue to, juice and eat our kale and eat our greens and our spinach. Because the very thing from Mother Nature is the best thing. It's the best nutrients. The problem is the nutrients have been watered down to the point where they've been totally erased because the pesticides and everything else that have been put in it, the trash from the FDA or the Federal Drug Administration, and they continue to put it like this. They continue to, at the cost of the American people, to make manufacturing faster, to provide the goods faster, like the foods. They will lab grow them instead of actually growing them from earth. So to cut down the cost, even though it jeopardizes the health of the American people, they would rather have a manufactured apple versus a actual earthly grown apple from a tree. Just to give you an example. But the thing is, Trump is going to tell it how it is. And why do we need vaccine? Why do we need to get a vaccine to put the virus in us if the virus was never in us in the first place, if we just need to eat right? Right? So, and these vaccine company or these pharmaceutical companies, you can't sue them. They're going off of clinical studies from 25 years ago. And if it's 25 years ago, then y'all need to upgrade y'all studies, which I think should be done consistently out of respect for the American people that are trusting the Federal Drug Administration and the pharmaceuticals in regards of the overall health and taking care of the American people and doctors and so forth. Because doctors can't just do anything if a clinical study is not taking place. But if a clinical study is not updated, then how are you updated with the times to be innovative to prevent a widespread of delays and developmental delays and issues like this, even with our foods? You see, the doctor isn't responsible for promoting a healthy lifestyle. They see a problem, they let you be aware of the problem, they give you a band-aid to cover it, whether that's a vaccine or whatever the case may be. And all vaccines aren't bad. Let me make that very clear. But at the end of the day, it's up to you, the person, to be responsible in regards to promoting a healthy lifestyle. Because if you eat right and you do what's right, you wouldn't need a vaccine, which is a band-aid, because every vaccine that's given, it's a side effect with it. So don't sit there and tell us that, oh, autism can't be linked to that, or that's not a developmental delay linked to it, and y'all going off of clinical trials 25 years ago. So see, Trump isn't a typical individual like your typical politician in politics, where their campaign is funded by these drug companies funding their campaign, and they'll be like, yeah, you know what, we're really not going to look into that. That's the issue. The American people just want truth, transparency, and solutions, and to execute on that. And that's the amazing, beautiful thing about Trump, right? And the key statement that Trump said is, I'm open to anything. We just want to know what's going on here. Let's continue.
Well, they say because they're better at identifying it.
1 in 100,000, and now it's 1 in 100. That's a pretty bad number.
Childhood vaccines.
I mean, something is going on. I don't know if it's vaccines. Maybe it's chlorine in the water, right? You know, people are looking at a lot of different things.
You know, childhood
I
vaccines.
want them to look at everything.
Everything. Right. So childhood vaccines have prevented about 4 million deaths around the world every year.
I think that's great.
Isn't that...
I'm all for it. I think it's great. Hey, look, I'm not against vaccines. The polio vaccine is the greatest thing. If somebody told me get rid of the polio vaccine, they're going to have to work real hard to convince me. I think certain vaccines are incredible, but maybe some aren't. And if they aren't, we have to find out. But when you talk about autism, because it was brought up, and you look at the amount we have today versus 20 or 25 years ago, it's pretty scary.
Well, again, scientists say that's because they've gotten better at identifying it, and there's no link in
but
studies.
The drug companies are going to be working with RFK Jr., and he's been an interesting guy to me.
And I love that. RFK Jr. should definitely investigate and get down to the bottom of it. And that's all. It's just open to anything. We just want transparency. Just be transparent with the American people, man. It's the health on the line. You know what I'm saying? We should be strong and acknowledge the mistakes and be strong in regards of realizing, look, at the end of the day, this is just common sense. And at the end of the day, it's more effective if you just realize the mistake and look for more innovative way to have real solutions, because at the end of the day, it's for the best of the American people and our country as a whole. And that's what these progressives don't understand. They're ignorant. How can you go off of studies 25 years ago? This ain't 25 years ago. So that's all, man. That's the beautiful thing of it. I'm all for it. I love it. I love it. But anyway, family, moving on. We're going to move on to how she wanted Donald Trump to concede the 2020 election. But Donald Trump articulated himself very well and stood on business.
Sir, I don't have to tell you this because you've talked about it. It comes at a time when the country is deeply divided. And now you're going to be leading this country for the next 4 years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No. No. Why would I do that? But let me just tell you, when you say the country is deeply divided, I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
No. I'm not the president. So when you say it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president. I'm not. And he has been a divider. And you know where he divided it more than anything else, and it probably backfired on him, I think definitely, is weaponization. When he weaponized the Justice Department and he went after his political opponent, me. He went after his political opponent violently because he knew he couldn't beat him. And I think it really was a bad thing. And it really divided our country.
Sir, Democrats have control of the White House now. They didn't in 2020. If they are going around stealing elections, why
when you
didn't
say
they
Democrats have control now
of the White House?
Yeah.
So why didn't they steal this election? Since they have more power now.
Because I think it was too big to rig.
So you won't.
Too big to rig.
To the people who say that You're now directing your Justice Department to investigate 2020,
no,
and they want to move
I have
on.
very capable.
Is
I
that
think
a
Pam
good
is going to
use
be
of
great.
precious resources?
By the way,
Is that what you want them to do?
Just so you know, I have the right to do that, but I'm not interested in that.
Oh, you're not. You're not going to do that.
I'm not interested. I have
Okay.
the absolute right. I'm the chief law enforcement officer. You do know that. I'm the president. But I'm not interested in that. You know what I'm interested in? Drilling and getting prices down and stopping people from pouring into our border that come from prisons and.
I love it, man. She was so infatuated with this topic by wanting Trump to concede the 2020 election. But the issue is Joe Biden used the Department of Justice to weaponize against Donald Trump. So it did backfire on him and made things worse. And I'm glad that Donald Trump said, "I'm not the president." He said, Joe Biden's the president. So you should be asking Joe Biden since he weaponized the Department of Justice against Donald Trump, right? Targeting Trump so bad. And I always find it weird because in 2016, when everybody thought Trump wasn't going to win and it was a joke because he's not a politician, right? He's not a politician. He's not a part of the establishment. And when Trump won, it was like, okay, that was amazing. Then they seen how he did and did phenomenally well, and he's even going to do even better things for the American people. Why didn't they come for him then in 2016? Also, the 81 million votes for Joe Biden, I'm not falling for that. I'm not going to believe that Joe Biden had more votes than Barack Obama. All the duplicate ballots and all the violations that took place and ballots that didn't even have signatures on it. I'm not even going to get into that, man, because I'm not falling for it. I'm not believing that, not whatsoever. But however, I love how Trump, because they have this tactic where they like to overtalk him and get to different topics and get to different hit points they like to throw at Trump to try to throw him off. And I like how he's articulating himself well and he's staying to the topic. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how they try to throw him off, just like they try to do within the debate with Kamala Harris when it was basically like, what, 3v1? If you guys recall, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm always open to the possibility of being wrong. But moving on to the next topic, I want to talk about Donald Trump with the borders, you know what I'm saying, or the mass deportations. Check this out, family.
Let's talk about mass deportation, one of
Okay.
your big agenda items. You've talked about prioritizing people who have criminal history.
Correct.
But is it your plan to deport everyone who is here illegally over the next 4 years?
Well, I think you have to do it, and it's a very tough thing to do. It's you have to have, you have rules, regulations, laws. They came in illegally. The people that have been treated very unfairly are the people that have been online for 10 years to come into the country. And we're going to make it very easy for people to come in terms of they have to pass the test. They have to be able to tell you what the Statue of Liberty is. They have to tell you a little bit about our country. They have to love our country. They can't come out of prisons. We don't want people that are.
And just to add a little bit of context, because it just came to my mind, when she wanted him to concede the 2020 election, he said no. I love how Trump was like, look, I'm not focused on going after Joe Biden and the Biden crime family or whatever the case may be. He said he focused on mass deportation. He focused on drilling, he said. He's focused on getting the cost down with inflation. He's focused on, the things that he campaigned, securing the border, stopping foreign wars, safety in neighborhoods, crimes going down. You know what I'm saying? Progressives don't believe in criminalizing people that cross the border. But law and order is the best way. You know what I'm saying? It's the best way. You got to have order in your house or there'll be chaos. But ignorant individuals like progressives and the ignorance that they push, in regards of allowing individuals to come across the border and they're criminals, that creates mass invasions. And that occurred throughout history. But let's continue as he talk about the mass deportation.
Are in for murder. So we had 11,000 and 13,000 different estimates, 13,099 murderers released into our country over the last 3 years. They're walking down the streets. They're walking next to you and your family. and they're very
The
dangerous.
13,000 figure, I think, goes back about 40 years.
No, it doesn't. No,
That
it's within the 3-year
13,000
period. It's
figure.
during the Biden term. No, that was a fiction that they put that out. This was done by the Border Patrol. It's 13,099, and it's during the Biden period of time. And these are murderers, many of whom murdered more than one person. You don't want those people in this country.
But you're saying something, sir, that's significant. I just want to make sure I'm clear, which is that you're saying, yes, you're going to focus on the people with criminal histories, but everyone who's here illegally has to go.
I'm saying this. We have to get the criminals out of our country. We have to get people that were taken out of mental institutions and put them back into their mental institution, no matter what country it is. Do you know that Venezuela, their prisons are at the lowest point in terms of emptiness that they've ever been? They're taking their people out of those prisons
and dumping
by
into
the
America.
thousands, and they're drunk. And just to get back, because I know exactly what you're getting at. Number one, we're doing criminals, and we're going to do them really rapidly. We're getting the worst gang probably with MS-13, and the Venezuelan gangs are the worst in the world. They're vicious, violent people. And you see what they've done in Colorado and other places. They're taking over, literally taking over apartment complexes and doing it with impunity. They don't care. They couldn't. They just are. They're in the real estate business.
You know, the local police say that is not the case in Colorado.
Oh, it's totally the case. I mean,
You're always trying to debunk, and we all know that MSNBC and they're crumbling, right, for ratings. But it just bothers me how she can sit there and say, "Oh, you know, the police didn't say." The man. Let's continue because she's gonna go.
You don't believe the local police.
I play it. I used to play it at my rallies every single night. No, they're breaking into doors. They're taking over the building.
But
That's
sir,
true.
You
and by the way,
the
police are afraid to do anything.
You raised the point that
The police are afraid to do something because number one, they're criminals. But the thing is, nobody is backing them. The catch and release thing, especially like in California, the trash state with Gavin Newsom or Gavin Nuisance, you know, catching criminals and then releasing them as soon as police, law enforcement feel defenseless. They don't have nobody to back them. And on top of that, how can she say, "Oh, local police here"? That see, of course, a mayor or the mayor or whatever, they're gonna say those things in Colorado to save face. But in reality, is the mayor can say that, but what about the individuals that actually live in those apartments, experiencing those things? How can you speak for them?
the logistics are complicated. You said
Sure
it yourself.
they are,
You would
but
need
everything's
24
complicated.
Yeah, I mean, you need 24 times more ICE detention capacity just to deport 1 million people per year, not to mention more agents, more judges, more planes. Is it realistic to deport everyone who's
You have
here
no
illegally?
choice. First of all, they're costing us a fortune. But we're starting with the criminals, and we got to do it. And then we're starting with others, and we're going to see how it goes.
Who are the others?
Others are other people outside of criminals. We have convicted murders. We don't mean people that are even on trial. We have people that have murdered numerous people are on our streets and in our farms.
I agree. But I think this is the last topic. Yeah, it's the last topic in regards of, and it's been a very controversial thing because I know Kamala Harris been campaigning about, oh, he wants to take away your reproductive rights. Besides the identity politics, Kamala Harris was highly known for running a reproductive campaign, right? And this goes to my last topic that I wanted to hit on and get you guys' perspective on, which was the abortion pill, which Trump said he will not ban the abortion bill. But don't take it from me, the abortion pill, but don't take it from me. Hear it from Trump.
Let's talk about abortion, sir. You have taken responsibility for overturning Roe v. Wade. You've said that abortion is now a state issue. There are steps that you could take, though, as president to restrict abortion through executive action without Congress. More than half of abortions in this country are medication abortions. Will you restrict the availability of abortion pills when you're in office?
I'll probably stay with exactly what I've been saying for the last 2 years, and the answer is no.
You commit to that?
Well, I commit. I mean, do things change? I think they change. I hate to go on shows like Joe Biden. I'm not going to give my son a pardon. I will not, under any circumstances, give him a pardon. I watched this, and I always knew he was going to give him a pardon, and so I don't like putting myself in a position like that. So things do change, but I don't think it's going to change at all.
See, Trump is not the individual that's going to tell you what you want to hear. He's going to tell you the truth. And he's not a politician. He's not a part of the establishment. And even though people may not like his delivery, they appreciate his transparency because that's what the American people want, right? And there's been a lot of games being played in our faces like we're stupid, and we're not stupid. Um, and however, Trump has basically standing on his stance in regards of not having a national abortion pill ban or a national abortion ban. He left it to the states. But however, there are Republicans that are part of Congress that may think otherwise, and it's not ultimately the choice up to President-elect Donald Trump. It goes to Congress. He doesn't have the final say. So I just wanted to put that out there, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video on my perspective, thoughts, and insight. Give this video a big thumbs up if you got some value from it. Love to hear from you guys down in the comments. So with no further ado, family, hope you enjoyed it. Peace.